Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of Star Trek Voyager, Season 3, Episode 18, Darkling. This episode was kind of rough. Like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. It had the potential to be amazing. Like, this could have been such a good episode, but they just, they tripped over the finish line. Like, they were almost there, but they fumbled the ball. I don't know sports, so I don't even know if those analogies make sense. So, the Doctor is such a good character, and I really like him. I think Robert Picardo is a great actor, and as he's becoming more and more of a character with his mobile emitter and stuff like that, they could have done such good stuff, and I think that's the direction they were going, but then they just kind of stopped. Where for this one, the Doctor has he spent such a long story arc trying to come up with a name. Evidently, we've completely abandoned that, and now he's just trying to come up with personality traits. So he goes to the holodeck and he creates all of these fictional characters. Like, there's Gandhi, there's fictional characters from the Byron. The one that really stood out to me was T'Pau, who is a Vulcan who we've seen in the original series, and then we'll see her again in Enterprise. So I thought that was kind of cool that they picked her to be one of the characters. And he's going through and he's choosing all of these different characters to kind of take their best traits and incorporate them into his personality. Which, as people, you can aspire to be like somebody, oh, that's a great character, and I wish I were, as moral as that character. But for the Doctor, where he can literally change his personality just by changing an algorithm, it's a different type of thing, and that's what this whole episode's about. Where it doesn't go according to plan, as of course it doesn't. This is also the first time I think we've really heard about Kes. I'm sorry, I don't know where Ness came from. Kes and Neelix broke up. I just combined them. Neelix, Kes. The Kes relationship has broken up. And it's sad, but we kind of see Kes start, looking at other men. And she's like, I'm 3 years old, I'm an adult, I can see other men. And it's yeah, but, you were in a long-term relationship. You don't want to rebound that quickly. And so, seeing the Doctor be very protective of her, and then this is where it starts to get interesting, where the Doctor's, different personalities, as B'Elanna points out, whereas, I think it was Byron, I didn't write it down, I'm sorry. He has a very strong personality, whereas T'Pau is very logical. So if you take those two personalities and you put them together, well, now you can logically kill this guy because he's making your best friend unhappy, which is what the Doctor tries to do. And it's a very, intense type of scene where they're going through it. And the Doctor, he wears contacts and he has, different, teeth going on to kind of show that this is a different type of Doctor. And it's kind of funny because he actually calls himself the master of the master over the Doctor or something, which is clearly a Doctor Who reference, because you got the Doctor and now you got the Master. Which is kind of a great scene where he goes into the turbo lift and an ensign gets in with him, and it almost looks like the ensign is going to, he's going to kill her or something. But she calls him Sir, which I loved and I'm super intrigued by, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. Because for one, the Doctor bothers me every time I see him because he doesn't have any pips on his collar. He has no rankings, which makes sense because he's just an emergency hologram. So why would an ensign call him Sir? So I'm really curious what you guys think about that. And then, of course, Paris shows up and he ruins everything. As we go through the episode, B'Elanna, of course, figures it out. They beam, he accidentally falls off a ledge with Kes. They beam him out. Everything goes back to the way it is supposed to be. Which, like I said, this episode was so good because you got this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type storyline going on. And it's oh, you know what? Let's just end it. The end. And as soon as he's beamed back on board, the Doctor's back to himself. And B'Elanna's I purged all those personalities out of your system. You're back to normal. And then the episode ends with him quoting the Hippocratic Oath. And I was that's kind of an interesting choice. He's a doctor. All doctors have to quote the Hippocratic Oath to become doctors. But I was that's kind of weird that you would just end on that kind of a note. So overall, I thought it had great potential. It just wasn't the episode that I had hoped that it would be. So for those who have seen this one, what did you think about Robert Picardo's performance as like the Master and the Doctor. What did you think about seeing T'Pau? Like, this is now her second appearance after the original series, but before Enterprise. And then just kind of what did you think about this episode overall? Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time for The Rise.